these soldiers. I have really had a thing for bright lipsticks lately, so get used to it. Now, it's summer. And summer to most people means happy, fun, sunshine, rainbows, water parks, watermelon ice cream, yay! However, summer is ending. We're gonna go back to school, we're gonna go back to work, we're gonna go back to all the like responsible adult things that you don't really have to do during summer. And for this reason, I cry. Make you wanna cry, cry! K-pop, what are you doing here? Get out of the video. Sometimes I'm just really sad, but I don't know how to express it outwardly, so these are the top 10 books that I go to when I need to cry, but I can't, so I'll pick one up and I'll read it, and then tears! We're gonna start at number 10 and work our way to number 1, with 10 being I cried the least, and 10 being I needed super glue to get it back together again. I'm gonna see if you can figure out what's number 1. I'm sure if you've watched my other videos, you probably know what number 1 is. Coming in at number 10 is Mockingjay. You all knew this had to be somewhere on the list. I know some of you might be surprised that it's at number 10, but I didn't really cry very hard at this. And we're gonna put the spoiler hand up. I feel like I want to high-five somebody, but the spoiler hand doesn't do high-fives. So I didn't really cry when Finnick died because that was just, it happened so fast, you don't really process it. A couple pages later I was like, wait a minute, did he just get up and, what? I didn't really cry when Prim died either because at first, when I first read this book, I didn't understand that she had died, so there was a period of like, what the, oh. Also, at the very last chapter, epilogue, whatever that is, the line that got me was when Katniss says, "My children don't know that they play on a graveyard," and that was just something that just hit home. It really did. So that made me like a couple tears come out, but nothing too waterfall-like, just like a gentle mist. Coming in at number 9 is The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater. I'm a big fan of the Raven Boys, and I really love The Scorpio Races. It has to do with Kelpies, it's Scottish folklore. I find that so interesting. This book was, again, not like a sob fest, but this was like a couple tears came out near the end, of course. Spoiler hand, when, wait, what's the guy's name? Sean. When Sean and his horse, he's trying to release the horse back into the sea because it's broken leg, but it won't go even though that's its home and it wants to be with him, and it's just so like, my heart breaking into little pieces and I'm just letting it do it. Another book you knew had to be on this list, but is on the lower end of the spectrum, is Allegiant by Veronica Ralph, who everyone cried over because obvious reasons. The spoiler hand's going up again. I don't know why it should, but apparently some people still don't know what happens, even though everyone in the world was spoiled because of that stupid thing on Twitter. So yeah, I cried when Triss died, because it was sad. But not a lot actually, my eye just kind of got misty, but the part where I actually cried was when at the end, he's kind of like describing Triss and how she helped him out and how he's changed and blah blah blah, and that really got me. And then he's like with his mom again, and it's just so, it was emotional and sad, and that was like some streams, like just two like streams down my face. And I was also with my mom at the time, but she didn't say anything. She like looked over, saw me crying, was just like, it's the book. Number 7 on this list, Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. So Throne of Glass is fantastic. This is the second, Crown of Midnight, which was an interesting, different kind of tear. The tears I cried in this were like horror tears, you know, where you're like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening, like that. And we're gonna put the spoiler hand up again. Spoiler section. So Nemia dies, and oh my gosh, no, not Nemia, she's our friend. No! And Selena, she just needs somebody. Everyone that she has is just being taken away from her, and it's just, So yeah, that's how I felt about that. It's more like a, yeah, there's some, yeah, it was just, you understand, right? You know what I'm saying, you got me. Number 6 was sad for a very good reason, because that is All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven, which is a book that deals with suicide. You can kind of guess why I was sad in this, even if you haven't read it, just by me explaining that. I guess this is like kind of a spoiler, but I kind of just told you what happens, but kind of not. So, Finch, he just decides to die. And what the hell, Jennifer Niven? I wanted Finch to live. I loved him. He was an awesome character. How could you do that? Poor Violet! So this was like, maybe like one hiccup, you know, like not like full out sobbing, but like a like that. Okay, really, who didn't cry at number 5? So, Tifios. Everyone cried at this. The world cried at this. Your mom cried at this. Your dad cried at this. Your sister and her boyfriend cried at this. Like, this was just sad. But I mean, I really liked it. Okay, like, everyone knows what happens. You know this is sad for a reason. But it is at number 5 because this was like a steady stream of tears. This was like a good, like, not a really good cry, but this was crying. This was like, it, you know, streams. Multiple streams of tears dripping off your chin kind of crying. Number 4 is The City of Heavenly Fire by Sandra Clare, the last in the Mortal Instruments series. And if you have read this, you know the part at the end in which I cried. And I sobbed over this book. I also finished reading this at about 4 o'clock in the morning, so by like 3:30 I was in the really sad part. So I'm sleep deprived, I'm already emotionally compromised, so the tears are just coming. And it was, of course, in the morning, so I was trying to be quiet, so I'm trying to like muffle my tears with tissues, which doesn't really work. Spoiler hands! Spoiler hands up! The spoiler hand is up! Okay, so Simon just loses all his memories. The hell? No! No, you can't, Simon! We love you! You can't lose your memories! Everyone loves you! You just can't! Magnus's daddy, why are you so mean? So like, that was upsetting. And then, who expected Jonathan to rise up from Sebastian's body after he gets stabbed? That was a really weird thing. And then he just dies. Just cause, you know, you can't have any good characters in here for more than like 3 seconds before one of them has to just go and snuff. And then, when I completely and utterly lost it, was when Izzy looks at the band flyer of Simon's band, and it's flipping called the Mortal Instruments! I lost my shit. Oh my gosh. Bawling my eyes out, tears, sobbing, can't see the pages. Oh man. Coming in at number 3 is Ruin and Rising, the 3rd in the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. And I cried for this book for maybe a reason someone would not expect. I cried over the villain in this, and it's not really any surprise that the villain ends up losing the battle, because that's what happens in final books, and that's what happens in book series. But I cried, like, a lot over him, and you're not supposed to, because it's like crying for Voldemort. No one cries for Voldemort, because that's just, you just don't do that. But, spoiler hand, for some reason the Darkling is just, oh, he's so well written, he's such an interesting character, and you really do feel bad for him when he dies, because he just wants to be accepted and loved, and that's the only thing that he wants from Alina, and she can't give that to him because, you know, he's evil. And then when she finally kills him and he's lying on the sand and he asks her to say his real name one last time, 2 waterfalls were coming down my face. This was an emotional trauma. But I loved it. Coming in at number 2, An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. There's a time around the middle of the book where I kind of broke down, and I was also sitting next to my friend Sarah, because I read this in Milan, and she's like, oh my god, are you okay? And I'm just like, is this thing that happened? I just so bad. I kid you not, it's like word for word exactly what I said. It's a dual point of view. One of the main characters, Elias, has to go through these trials to become emperor. And these trials are run by the augurs, which are kind of like these oracle, psychic, vampire beings. And the 3rd one broke my heart in half and stamped on it and then sliced it out with a knife and then threw it into the ocean. This was horrible and horrific, and I cried so hard because poor Elias, he just doesn't need that. He just, So yeah. Be wary of the 3rd trial! That's not a spoiler, but that's just like a warning. And last but certainly not least, I bet you can guess which one is number 1. Ready? Drumroll! Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare, the 3rd and final in the Infernal Devices trilogy. Everyone knows why we cried at this. Oh my god, Will and Jeb and Tessa. My world is made! Very shouty today in this video, I'm very sorry about that. If you have headphones on, I dearly apologize. Cassandra Clare, we need to have a chat about this because I was pretty much inconsolably crying and like sitting in my bedroom rocking in a ball for like 2 days after I read this. So if your goal in life is to traumatize young girls, I really think you achieved that. I got this the day it came out, and I did it all in one shot like I mentioned in my one-shot books. And I was inconsolably bawling my eyes out, as in I can't see the page in front of me because just tears after tears. I'd wipe my eyes and more tears would come, and you're doing the ugly like open mouth like sobbing. I cried because I was happy. I cried because it was depressing. I cried because there was a future that they could have had. I cried because the people died. That epilogue though is so sweet and sad, and it tells you like what happened in the past versus what happens now, and between Tessa and oh poor Will, and Jem gets to be there, and it was just, this was lovely and sad, and I've already read it like 8 times, and I've bawled my eyes out every single time. I know what happens, but I still cry. Whew, okay, I made it through without crying, yeah! There is my top 10 tearjerker list. If you have any that I missed or that you think that I should read to have a good cry, leave those down below. I'm always interested. Leave down below some comments about if you cried for any of those, or maybe you think that Allegiant should be #1, or you think Tifios should be lower on the list. Who knows? Click over here to like the video and click over here to subscribe like I tell you every single week, but for some reason, if you haven't, why not? I keep telling you these things. It's like infomercials, you know, if they keep blasting at you, maybe you'll buy it. Is it not the same idea with this? Whatever, subscribe. But if you don't, that's cool too, because like free choices. Hope you're having a good day wherever you are, and I'll see you next week. Bye!